Howdy folks, thank you for tuning in to Gamer Guns. I am your average size host, and today we're going to be talking about the Sig Spear LT a little bit more. I kind of covered this rifle in my MCX platform review. Today I just want to focus on the Spear LT primarily. I'm at a little over 5,000 rounds on this guy and give you some of my opinions on the rifle, the good, the bad, the ugly. And we're just going to shoot around a little bit, have a little fun, a little different style video. I'm just going to try to freestyle this a little bit. No notes or nothing of that sort. But yeah, guys, the Spear LT, let's talk about it. Before we start talking a little bit more, let's go ahead and shoot a little more. I'm running some cheap Wolf 223 steel case. This stuff is pretty cool in this rifle, suppressed because it's a little bit underpowered. And there's a very audible difference between this underpowered Wolf and, you know, like your standard M193. The tone is a little bit better with this suppressor. That's on a reduced size like C-Zone steel silhouette here at about 25 yards. Nothing too serious. So the Sig Spear LT, it is bear season and people run dogs for bear quite often around here. And there are some bear hunters several hundred yards on up the holler here ahead of me. So I'm not sure how much more I'm going to get to shoot, but we'll do what we can. But back to the Spear, essentially this is a third generation MCX. Well, that's exactly what it is a third generation MCX. Inspired by the Spear, the M7 that was created for the United States military. This is a smaller version of that. The M7 being chambered in 277 Fury, you know, a mid-sized cartridge, and this chambered in 5.56, this one in particular, but they also offer 300 blackout as well as 7.62 by 3.9, you know, your standard intermediate cartridges or chamberings. But so far so good with this rifle. We will discuss some of the pros and cons of buying one of these in this video, and we're just going to shoot around, like I said, have a good time. So let's start with some of the pros, as there are not very many cons. There certainly are some, and we will get into that. But so far, zero malfunctions with this setup. It has proven to be very reliable. The build quality on the design of the rifle and the overall build quality seems to be very nice. Minimal wear internally, very minimal. You know, you typically at about 5K, you start to notice certainly some wear on your high friction components, such as your star pattern bolt and your barrel extension, just simple things of that nature. But so far, very, very little wear internally, very high quality coatings on the components used in this platform, and that will result in a very long lasting weapon. Now this setup with this suppressor is money. The Sig MCX platform, to me, the main reason you would want to own this is because of how well it runs suppressed. If you're not going to run one of these suppressed, I honestly don't see the purpose in buying one other than cool factor. But this setup with a suppressor is phenomenal, and it is a joy to shoot. Overall accuracy so far, I've typically been getting about 2.5, 3 MOA. Of course, I'm limited by my own ability to present that type of accuracy. I'm sure a better shooter could put up better numbers on paper, but I've had no issue, you know, stretching this short 11.5 out to 200 yards. That's the furthest I've taken it because I live in the Mountain State, West Virginia, and you just don't have very many places to stretch the distance. And at that distance, I have had no issue hitting, you know, standard reduced size steel targets, and it comes pretty easily. The trigger, safety off, we are clear, is pretty nice. It has broken in. When I first got it, it was quite stiff and I had a little bit of trigger freeze getting used to the setup. Overall, the trigger's very nice. Definitely a big upgrade from the standard mil-spec trigger. The coating on the rifle, this is like a tan anodized, as far as I know. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to be holding up fairly well. There is like a tone difference like a color match issue between the upper and lower receiver. That doesn't bother me. It bothers some people for some reason. I think it looks quite neat, kind of this scar ish look, the 50 Shades of FDE. I quite like all ambi-controls on this setup. I do not use the ambidextrous bolt release or bolt lock, if you will. It can be handy, for malfunction clearing drills, as you can push up on the ambi bolt release to lock your action to the rear, but I don't typically use it. I am quite accustomed to the standard paddle, bolt release, bolt lock on the opposite side of the rifle that you would traditionally see, with your standard M4 or AR-15 style rifle. But let's shut up and shoot the daggone thing a little bit more. It seems that the bear hunters have moved out of the vicinity, so we should be clear to send some lead downrange. We have some M855 now. I do not believe that I have ran M855 through this gun, but we're going to give it a shot here on our steel silhouette. And I can already tell you that is a horrible idea at this range because the steel core penetrator is sending sparks everywhere. So we might just use this as an opportunity to move our target on down to about 200 yards and shoot at a little bit of distance here and let you get a visual representation of that. I have a 50-yard zero, a standard M193, so I'm not sure if my hold's going to be different, but we'll give it a whack here. I painted the target blue like an idiot, and I can hardly see it. Seems like a dead hold, so not much different than your standard M193 as far as bullet trajectory. That's good. Okay, I suck, but I would like to give you an idea at how difficult this is to see right now. I painted it blue because it's the paint I had. There's the target. Not fishing for excuses, but but let's try a little more here. Like I said, I typically have no issue hitting at 200. Full disclaimer, I can't see the target. I know it seems like I'm fishing for an excuse, but I promise I'm not. Well, let's talk about a couple cons. Like I said earlier, there's not many. I don't want to seem like a Sig meat rider or anything like that, but with the Spear LT, the Generation 3 MCX, I think they have really knocked it out of the park and perfected this platform to what it can be so far. But we'll start with the biggest con for me, and certainly a lot of people, is the lack of aftermarket support. For an example, if your bolt carrier or recoil mechanism wears, you have to source that directly from Sig. If you need a new barrel, you have to source that directly from Sig. As of the actual critical wear components of the rifle, they have to be sourced from the manufacturer, at least as of right now. That is a big deal because there is no free lunch in this hobby. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on a rifle or a pistol, components are going to wear out over time depending upon your round count, and they will need replaced. Even though this is a high quality, rifle with great coatings, the materials used are high tier materials, what have you, but nonetheless, they will eventually wear over time. Now, whether that'll be at 10K or 15K or 20K, it's hard to tell. I haven't made it that far yet. Of course, when I do, I will let you all know first. And another con is going to be the price. For something so proprietary in design, the price for this is quite outrageous in my opinion. As you can see, it didn't stop me from buying one. The price is high, and I would not recommend purchasing this before you purchased a good, solid rifle of the AR/M4 platform, because the aftermarket support for that platform is so much more broad than this. Let's shut up talking too much. And I want to demonstrate the effectiveness of this suppressor a little bit, so we're just going to fire into the berm here. I have some Wolf loaded up here. I'm going to shoot a couple rounds of Wolf, then I'm going to switch magazines and shoot a couple rounds of M855 so you can kind of hear the audible difference in the two rounds. Hopefully you can tell on video. Wait for this car to pass. Now we have some M855. Fire a couple more into the berm here. It even sounds good with the M855. I think it is very loud. Not very loud, but significantly louder with M193 from what I've gathered so far. M855 even sounds pretty great with this little suppressor, but still don't sound as good as the underpowered Wolf. But anyhow, let's go ahead and close this video out. One more con, not necessarily to the rifle, but this brace sucks. This is Sig's folding brace, and it pivots. I have tightened it and kind of shimmed it a little bit with some tape, and it has stiffened the pivotness a little bit, but it also, it doesn't balance the rifle very well. This rifle is very front heavy. I will hopefully soon swap this out for just a standard M4 stock adapter, and then maybe put like a SBA3 or something on here, and hopefully balance the rifle out a little better. Overall, guys, the Spear LT, I'm satisfied with my purchase. Very fun rifle. Definitely a cool little flex piece to take to the barbecue, show the boys, come out to the range and have a good time with. And also a very good rifle for a more serious, use case, what this rifle was designed to be. But I'll go ahead and shut up. If you enjoyed this video, even the slightest, leave me a like, a comment, and subscribe. I love reading comments. I try to reply to everybody. It makes my day reading each of the comments down there. Like, comment, subscribe, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Gamer Guns. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. The freestyle kind of format, but just coming out here and having fun and talking to you guys. So if you want to see more stuff like that, certainly let me know, and we will make it happen. But I hope you all have a great day and enjoy. Started to lean back a little bit there.